Making videos when you're a mom is so hard. Like, I made a video the other night, which was actually a series of about 400 videos because I kept getting interrupted by hunting down babies and yelling at babies, and eventually screaming babies was my distraction. I am going to show you what I did on the video the other night, starting from the very beginning. I had bought, these are like, they're supposed to be, I guess, infant photo cards. I don't know what that means. And it's supposed to be 0 to 12 months, and in it came 6 actual cards. So I ripped them in half, so I have a front cover and a back cover. I took eye pins and I bent them because I don't have any rings. So at the top here, I'm going to use like eyelash yarn. I know, thank you. I'm going to use eyelash yarn or something so that I can, you know, kind of hide the little, you know, ends, and for it to be pretty. And I will give you a flip through. On the black, I covered it with white cardstock. I cut some things up to put in them. I had a bunch of scrap paper. So the only colors that I've used in these, primarily black and white, and I have thrown in red. Hold on, I'm trying to make it so that it's less tight here. I've thrown in red, you know, sporadically, but for the most part, it is black and white. So, you know, these are just scrapbook pages. All of my pages were 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. That was the measurement of the average page until I started cutting scrapbook pages 6 by 4 3/4 because I don't like to waste that much. So I'd rather have smaller pages mixed in than have, you know, huge pages. So I pretty much just use stuff that I have. I had this laid out differently. This is like from helicopter flight log. It actually goes out like that, so I'm going to turn that into a pocket of some sort. I had different papers in this originally, and I will show you what I had in there, but they were very thin, so they ripped very easily, and then I put the hole reinforcers on them, and I didn't like the way those looked. So on the video the other night, I took it apart and started from scratch. Okay, and then I have 2 of these, and then here is the black. I'm going to decorate with some doilies. These, I also covered book pages in some napkins. This one here, I screwed up on, so I might just use this page for embellishments. But this one here is fine. I can use that. I have 3 other journals, yeah. 3 other cards like this ready to go. I have a poodle, a peacock, and a whale, plus this ladybug. And here's another book page, and another one, and another one. And these are the pages that I had started with. See, they're very thin, so they didn't go very well. So I'm not gonna use those papers. And I will be back, and we will do make some embellishments. Okay, so I did make a few embellishments the other night. I made this, came from a book. This was printed off of one of those fonts that I had shown you in a lower video. This here too, these are 2 different fonts. I used my circle punch to punch this, my 1-inch, and it worked out perfect. Again, these 2 are fonts. Another one. This was a magazine image. I just love this woman right here. Isn't she great? Look at that. Another one of those fonts. This came from a book. I went around the edges with black soot from Tim Holtz so that it didn't blend in too badly with the book text. And here's another one. These are all made from the scraps. from the scrapbooking paper that I had cut out, and or the you know, the book pages that I had that I wanted to use. And this came from a book also. I wanted to add some doilies on the black cardstock because I think it looks really neat to have the doilies up against it. So I thought that I would fold some in half and glue them on, right? Do this. Stick that on here, and I think that looks really neat. And one thing that I could do, possibly, I was thinking about making it into a tuck spot, but doilies really aren't very rugged, so maybe I'll use a book page on top of it or something. I don't know. We'll think of something, but I am going to glue the whole thing down. What should I use? I'll use my craft bond. Okay, so let me move the book. And I will glue just around the solid part. Okay, like that. And do this, and look at that. It's not perfectly centered, but that's okay. It looks alright. Okay, so that looks pretty. Let's find another piece of black. This is black, but it's only black on one side, so the doily will look silly on the other side. And anything that I have that's double-sided, textured, I think would also look silly. I did keep my black soot ink out. I'm trying to just bend this a little bit so that they'll go over it a little easier. I did keep my black soot out because I do think that there will be more opportunities to black soot it up. Right. On this one I'll have to trim it a touch, but that's not the end of the world. Do this. Spread some glue. And throw it on there. Let's see. And then I figure on the back I can just do a half of a doily, right? And let's see. Let's look at the back for a second. And I could go half off of this way or the corner, right? I think we'll go corners. We'll do the corners. So we're going to fold this in fours, obviously, like so, and it's going to go like so. I think that'll look pretty. And I'm going to cut this. And I'll open this. And I will cut this. That'll look nice. That will look nice. And a corner there. I'm going to have to cut off the excess since this is rounded. But I like that. And I like this.
Mom,
What, Lil?
I wish they ate a seed.
You wish you ate a seed?
Yeah.
Go in and wash your hands for me, please.
I was washed them.
Okay.
See? Are they washed?
They look like it.
Mom, I don't think they were dirty. I washed them earlier. Well, no, when I got undressed, when I went inside.
Okay.
Yay.
Alright, just cutting off my corners. And I'm going to take this and just... I'm going to just put these down because... you know, doilies are so fragile and I just don't... They don't want to cooperate all the time. Okay, we have that. We'll go back and glue down the rest of those ones too.
Mom, look at my two little puppy guts.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Right here.
But there's no more pink ones left.
And we're going to glue this side down too.
They do not have a lot of pink ones. What is this one here too? There's a piece for the front. Does it have white ones? Oh, I need something with white.
Very nice, very nice. And we'll go back to this one. We'll go back to my crooked one here. Okay. So yeah, I took the whole thing apart the other day and I put the thicker cards in that I had. I cut them in half and I put them in here, and they seem to hold up much better, and I'm not afraid of them ripping as bad. Believe it or not, I'm afraid of some of my scrapbook paper ripping more than those, but I'm not about to take this thing apart again because I don't have a whole lot of options to change it out with, and I don't want it to just be 10 pages, you know. But it's pretty hard when you're trying to do something and you are just limiting yourself to like black and white. Or I watched a video the other day where a woman was pink and black, which, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you limit yourself to certain colors, but I do think that this is going to come out nicely. You know, I do think that this will, the colors on it will be nice. Let's see, I gotta probably rip that off. I'll put this on here.
Mom, I found two. One of them was next to the poster I put there.
I'm not going to put a lot of things in each one because I really want there to be writing space, and space to add things. So my embellishments here, I might add a few to each book, but nothing too major. Let's see. The key can go up here. That would be nice. So you can see how those fonts that I downloaded really came in handy for this because I printed them all in black. And, it ended up working out rather nicely. So that's nice there with the key. And see, my doilies are sticking a little bit, but that's not a big deal because it's just glue stick and it comes off a little bit easier when you're not pushing down on it, This here, I think I'm just going to cut this off because it's folded at the corner anyway, so I'm just going to cut that off. I'm also going to put some black lace on some of the pages too, so this page here cut crooked when I put it on my cutter, so I'm thinking if I can offset that with a little bit of something. It seems like no matter what I do, I cut crooked every single time. It's like clockwork. What if I did this with the swan? I want something that's not too busy. Maybe something, maybe like this, and I can make this into a tuck spot. Make this into a little, pocket here. We'll do that. Because the polka dots isn't clashing too bad with this background. So today, we've been digging fence posts for our garden because the last few times we did our garden, the deer were just, like, within a few weeks of vegetables showing up, the deer just took over. So, it was like last year we didn't even do an actual garden. We just did our potatoes. And they didn't touch the potatoes, believe it or not. The potato plants, they can't touch the potatoes because they're underground. But I've heard that they do eat the leaves, and they did eat the leaves in a little patch of potatoes we did at my neighbor's. These were little gift boxes that I like to border. So this year we're actually putting up like a real fence and not just trying to use homemade deer repellent sprays and things out of like rotten eggs and stuff. Smell gross, I'll tell you. But anyway, and two of the places that we drilled, we ran into like serious ledge. So it's just so discouraging. You try to do something and it just ends up being a mess, just ends up being a mess. I'm like just beside myself. What if I tuck this? What if I put this right in here like so? Or is that too busy? Yeah, that's busy. So, my husband has a jackhammer that hooks up to an air compressor. So he's trying to find an air compressor that he can borrow from his friend. But the jackhammer, my husband can't get to where it is right now in the trailer. And then I found out that one of our vendors that we get our ice cream from for the truck won't be doing it this year. So we have to go, instead of an hour, we have to drive 2 hours to get our product. which is going to put a huge damper on things, and I'm going to have to, raise some of my prices because I am not going to be able to afford to run 2 hours every week, sometimes twice a week, It is a 2-hour drive. So today was just a discouraging day. I am being quiet, honey. So I talked in my Journal to Bliss series about my discouraging day last week. Apparently I'm running middle of the week as my days of discouragement because last week it was Thursday that was discouraging, and this week it is Wednesday that is a discouraging day. So hopefully, hopefully we figure something out, because these vendors that we get our product from make the last couple of years have been making our business so complicated. It's almost not worth doing. It's almost like shut the truck down and just forget it, because we've been having problems now pretty much since we started. It's like, nothing but trouble with these vendors. I don't know how the other people deal with it. I mean, the other people deal with it because they're all the same, like, cutthroat kind of way. We're like family people. They're like, people who drive ice cream trucks, as most of you, I'm sure, have encountered, are creepy, weird people who don't care. They don't care about their business. They don't actually do a business. They just do it for cash money, So I do it because I enjoy the business. I enjoy doing it, but it's becoming to the point where you don't enjoy it anymore. Let me grab my black lace. This here, if you can believe it, it is underwear lace. Yes, sir, it is underwear lace from... Yeah, this is lace that they use to put on underwear.
Can I put some of that lace onto my blue underwear?
No, honey.
Why?
Because it won't look that nice on those underwear. We live about an hour from Hanes Manufacturing, where they make all of the Hanes underwear and stuff. So I have to find the end of this here. I'm going to have to cut this piece off and that piece. So we have a discount store. You've seen some of the things I have gotten there if you follow my channel. And this is something I got there for $3. There's probably, I bet you there's, let's see, it tells you how much is on it. Yards 376. I'll bet you there's more than half of that on here. Well, I mean, it goes pretty, it is half of my finger. It goes to here. So, it's pretty, there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit. So I'm going to start with this. And I'm going to measure out some pieces and cut them to put on some of my pages. Like this. And I'm going to put them on the very edge. My pretty underwear lace. So I'm just going to measure these up. cut them.
Hi. Hi. Hi, I'll be over a little after 8. Thank you.
Just gonna go on the Wednesday. He's going to play with the
Alrighty, so this stuff's kind of hard to measure up. It does have a little tiny bit of stretch to it, but not much more than regular lace, you know. This is fancy though, fancy underwear lace. They usually have tons of trim, but a lot of it is elastic, you know, by the roll, like these huge rolls. Every once in a while I do get a cool, like I have like this lace that looks tie-dye, pinks and purples and orangey, peachy colors that are really pretty, really pretty. But I haven't used this black. This is the first time I'm using it because a lot of what I do isn't, you know, black lace worthy, so I'm like, well, this will be black lacy. This will be good to try it in, you know? So why not? And that's the little scrap piece. I have a bag that I'm keeping my scrap lacies in now. I was just throwing them out. And some of these might not be perfect, but they're better than nothing. So I hope everybody's spring cleaning and spring preparations are going better than mine. Going better than mine have been going. Okay. I'm going to flip that carefully so that it doesn't stick to the other page too badly. Maybe I'll stick that between it so it'll dry for a second. I'm not going to put it on every page, but I'll put it on, you know, every few pages. This white page will be nice. I like to use the Aleene's for this. I don't own Fabri-Tac, but I've owned it before. And, or I shouldn't say I've owned it before, but I have used Fabri-Tac before, and the smell just really gets to me, which is strange. Smells never used to get to me before I had children, but now they really do. I don't know if it's from having kids or from quitting smoking, because I quit smoking about 6 or 7 months before I got pregnant. So, you know, your body, one thing that I learned after quitting smoking is it does take a long time, believe it or not, for your body to turn around from that. Like, I had my last cigarette in 2015. I quit smoking, you know, full time in 2013, but I would still have an occasional cigarette here and there. And I had my last actual cigarette in 2015, and it took probably about a year of not being around it at all for the smell of cigarette to actually start affecting me. Like, I hate the smell of it now. You know, which is strange because I never cared. I never cared before. It never bothered me even after I had quit. Until about a year later, you know, a year of not being around it at all unless I walked by somebody or, you know, something like that, but I wasn't around it. Yeah, just be careful. And once, then, you know, I was around a lot of people that were smoking last year, and I couldn't even handle it anymore. Like, I said to myself, I was like, I'm never going to be one of those reformed smokers, but I was. I hated it. I hated it. So weird, because I never cared, you know, even when I was a kid, but I was around, in my house all the time, you know. You don't realize how much it becomes a part of you until you actually get away from it for a long period of time. And I did. I got away from it for a long period of time. So that's what happened, and now I cannot stand it at all. Which I don't care, I just don't go near it now. You can smoke, and that's perfectly fine with me if you do.
Mom,
I just choose to stay away.
when you try to smoke, Mom?
Yeah, that's why I don't smoke, so I don't get sick.
But you smoked a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you felt like it when you wanted to try smoking?
Yeah, but smoking's yucky, and you don't want to do that, honey.
No, but if don't do that, it'll get very sick.
Yeah, even grown-ups shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, old grown-ups should do it.
Alright, so I have some lacies on here. Just making sure we're not too sticky, which we're not. Very nice. Let's close it and see how the lace looks from the outside. Ooh, that looks nice. I like that little laciness. I don't know if you can tell. See right here?
Wow.
Nice. And I'm going to grab my white, if I have any more. I don't remember how much of it I had. My white fuzzy yarn. If I have some, I do have black. That's shiny. You have shiny black that I can use. But I don't know where my white went.
You still taping?
Yep, why? I'll be done in a minute. I do. I have white and I have black.
Mom, I'm starving.
Yep, we'll get some dinner in just a minute. Okay, so
May I have a bunch of tacos?
white and black. White and black. So we'll do white on this one. Okay. No, honey, because we had tacos for lunch. Okay, if I can find... The only thing I don't like about this stuff is that it is a mess. And it is a mess when you try to find the end of it. Like this one here. It's like, I gotta get it through this hole. Come on, get in there. Come on. To like sweet talk it through. Okay. I got it through. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. Except for flip that like that. Take this down. Get my yarn stuck in the lamp. Cut it. And I'm just going to double knot this. We went to Taco Bell for lunch today. Lily officially likes tacos, which was fun.
Yeah, I got a question for everybody. Can I say it to him?
Yeah.
On this video, and I like the kinds of tacos that have cheese and meat and lettuce. I kind of changed my mind. I kind of like lettuce now.
She likes lettuce now, she says. What we do at home, which is actually much better, I think, and much easier. When we make tacos, I buy tortilla chips. So I crush up the tortilla chips and put them in a soft shell, because like hard tacos can be a mess, you know. So I like the hard tacos and I like soft tacos. So I crunch up the tortilla chips in the soft shell. And instead of lettuce, we buy coleslaw mix and we use that too instead of lettuce. Just plain, you know, just a cabbage. We don't see, you cannot even really see the knots from the hooks right there, and I think it looks pretty cute like this. So just make sure nothing is sticking. Like that was a little sticky. Just kind of flopping through so that I can. So we did a little embellishment, simple, and I got a few more journals to put together, and we'll be good to go for this little series of black and white. Black and white with a touch of red. Thank you all very much for hanging out. Sorry I haven't been around, but videotaping with young children can get pretty tricky. So my next one I might do the black or more white. I have enough probably to do all of my little cards. So thank you all for hanging out. I love you all very much, and I hope to see you soon. Ta-ta for now.